Hi, my name is Steve Dangle.
And my name is Andrey.
Я плохо себя чувствую.
And this is so true.
Did I say that right?
Yeah. And we have a message for all of you who thought this episode was going to be funny.
Well, a lot of people don't think any of our episodes are funny. And those people are dumb.
Well, get this now. It's official. We're actually stating that this episode isn't going to be funny.
No, it's just too soon. We want to get back to the way things were, but how do you do that?
Certainly, we already mentioned this. This terrible tragedy touched each and every one of us, but I guess Steve knows something about how this tragedy affected people in North America.
For sure, and I think if I could, speak for everyone who likes hockey over here, reading the blogs going online and just reading everything about Lokomotiv, the fans here mourn with you. Obviously, there were players in the tragedy that affected us directly. Igor Korolev, like I mentioned last week, Pavel Demitra, Ruslan Saleh, Alexander Karpatsev, just to name a few. But even a player that I had never heard of ever, and I think a lot of people over here had never heard of him, Alexander Galimov, everyone was pulling for him. And it wasn't just people in the mainstream media that were covering this. It wasn't just people who their job was to cover it. It was everybody, online, bloggers. They took a real interest in it, and they were concerned. And certainly it wasn't as close to home as if you were in Russia, but for example, that video of the tribute in Minsk was heartbreaking.
And no matter how heartbreaking it was, I don't want to be offensive or rude or anything, but I kind of have a few questions. And one of the questions I have, I think everyone had in mind when this happened. And the question is, why? Why in the world they were flying whatever it was they were flying? Fortunately enough, I was able to find an answer to this question from Sergei Gemaev. If you don't know who Sergei Gemaev is, which would mean that you live outside of Russia, he's a former hockey player, hockey coach, and now he works as an expert on Russian national television. So according to him, every single KHL club flies with this Yak-42, which is the model of the plane that crashed, or a very similar kind of aircraft. He also shared his thoughts about why the KHL clubs are doing this. Because they're cheap. You might wonder why they're paying these enormous amounts of money to hockey players and yet they can't put them on their legit vessel. So Steve, you have been quiet for a while now. Let me ask you this question to bring you back talking. Was there ever a point in your life when you tried to buy an airplane?
An airplane?
Yeah.
No, not recently.
Okay, would you happen to have any sort of idea how much would it cost you?
A lot.
See, these are my thoughts exactly before I went on the internet. I wanted to know, what do they use in North America instead of Yak-42s?
Well, certainly being in Toronto with a team as profitable as the Leafs, you'd hope that they'd be using state-of-the-art aircraft.
And as it turns out, they do. It's called Boeing 737 series. And the starting price for one of these birds would be $50 million.
50? 5-0?
Exactly. And of course, if you want to get some better service and a better airplane, you have to pay a little bit extra cash. I strongly believe that I'm not alone when I'm saying that this tragedy could have been avoided if only they had a better airplane. Recently I talked to a guy who used to play in the KHL, and he told me that during the season there were quite a few times the entire team had to get drunk because they were too scared to get on the plane. Is this really the way we want it to be?
So not everyone's gonna like hearing this, obviously, but it's something that you've put a lot of time and research into and you feel really strongly about.
You're absolutely right. I do feel strongly about it. In case you forgot, I lost 2 friends on this plane.
I know, and you never want this to happen again, and you have every right to be pissed off.
You know what, Steve? What's happened has happened, and we all have to learn from this, and we all have to learn to move on. And as part of this, how about we come back talking about hockey again?
We can try. Because believe it or not, even though the plane crash was just a week ago, the KHL season has started.
And in the season opener, Salavat Ulayev defeated Atlant 5-3, even though they were down 3-0.
So they came back and won 5-3, even though they were down 3-0?
Exactly.
I've heard of this before.
You want to tell me?
No. And actually just now with Andrey, I've never seen the KHL before, like live KHL action, but I got to watch it on his computer. It was Avangard versus the Red Army, and my buddy's team here, the Red Army, lost. But the crazy dangle in a phone booth move in front of the net. What's Russian for dangle?
You mean like stick handling?
Yeah, deking.
Fint.
Fint. Fint.
Today I also show Steve Petr Vrana goal on Sibir Novosibirsk.
Заметно лучше. Команда под руководством Тарасенко сыграла 10 матчей. Ох, какой момент! И Врана забрасывает ответную шайбу. Брюклер надо сказать, зевнул.
Seriously, dude, have you ever seen anything as weird as this?
Well, being from Toronto, let's just say I've seen worse.
Ouch.
And, Caps fans, listen up, you also showed me Evgeny Kuznetsov's first goal of the season. Nice.
Чуть было не довели дело. А вот тут хороший момент, и Евгений Кузнецов открывает счет своим голам в этом сезоне и в этом матче. 1-0, Евгений Кузнецов. Ждем, конечно, мы очень ярко играет этого молодого нападающего.
And like I said, again, this is my first time seeing KHL action. Have seen some little highlights here and there on YouTube, but if you want to see the goals that we're talking about, they got a YouTube channel, youtube.com/KHL.
So, Steve, you want to hang out and watch some KHL action with me now?
NHL 12 just came out. I don't think you should call me for like a week.
Oh.
So that's it for this week's Joining the Rush. We tried to have some fun with the video at the end, and I'm sure it felt weird. And obviously, being so soon, it's gonna feel weird. But this is a process, a long, painful process. But the hope is that with each passing week, it gets less weird.
Well, until next time.
Loka, мы с тобой.